dummy on the firing range that turns around. What?
I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got 10 o'clock.
Me too.
So I think it's time to get started. So Beverly, why don't you start us with the roll call?
Yes, very good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Chairman French,
Here.
Mr. Emerson,
Hi.
okay, Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Dr. O'Halloran, Mr. Dorn, Ms. Odell, Mr. Jones,
I'm present.
Mr. Lakakis, and Mr. Cody.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a fairly light agenda today. So hopefully we can get out of here in less than 4 or 5 hours. We'll do our best. We had actually a lighter agenda, but fortunately the Coastal Region MPO wants to give us a presentation, which I think will be very good. So before we get to that, let's approve the minutes. So we need a first and a second to open the discussion on minutes.
Move to accept the minutes.
All those, can we vote yet, Beverly?
We just opened this? Oh, okay.
Just want to make sure we're ready when we get there. So any discussion on the minutes before we call for a vote to approve? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I want us to go back to where we gave approval to okay that thing with Virginia. Can we revisit that? Hmm?
No, the reference.
Well, where Curtis asked that he be given permission to join the Virginia Co-op. Is that?
I think that's a different discussion than approving the minutes, but
No, I'm asking before we approve the minutes, can we put something in place so we can go back and visit that? That's what I'm asking.
You can bring it back up as old bit on the old business.
Okay.
And you have to, but in order to vote again, someone who voted for it would have to bring it up. Would have to move to reconsider.
That looks like me.
okay, then let's vote on the acceptance of the minutes.
Kicked down again.
It's not showing.
Happened a lot in kicked out.
Mostly boys.
You should
Something
come
about
up.
that seat, because that used to happen to your predecessor.
That's why, not here.
Who did what?
Probably Pete.
Dr. O'Halloran.
Dr. Nolan, Mike.
Pete seconded?
Not in yet, I've got stuck. Getting back there.
Temptations got you.
Put that over there.
Take them to the kitchen.
Temptations got you.
No, they won't do it.
Just shut her down for now?
Where is your willpower?
Because it won't let me control
I
myself.
voted.
Willpower is closing that box and
So we, where are we?
removing temptation.
Do you want him to use it in there?
Is she not coming?
She'll be here.
Don't set me up on it if she's gonna be coming.
Did she say?
Did you lock her out?
You don't think a lot of the cleanliness of this crowd, do you?
I didn't put those there.
I did, that was the donut catcher.
You brought it on.
No, I did.
That's what don't like that. There is one in the way.
That way we don't have icing all over our laptops for next meeting.
Okay, we have 6 yes, 1 no, and I think 1 no vote, which is probably half a vote. Or
7 yeses.
No, it's not.
Okay, now there's 7. So motion carries. You know, Bill, the best part about this, without your computer, is you're not going to be able to speak.
I'm okay with that.
We'll miss your
Wit,
astute
my
comment.
wit.
All right, so next on the agenda is the Coastal Region MPO mobility presentation. Stephanie, when you, as you do this, could you tell us where you got the people who voted for this? And I got an email that asked me to take the survey.
Oh,
Can you tell us how you developed this database and how many people were actually involved with it, so we understand it?
yeah, I'll do a little background for you. Hopefully you can see that. Well, thank you, first of all, for giving me a little bit of time on your agenda today to try to spread the word about our long-range transportation plan update. First, I was going to start out with just a quick 101, what an MPO, Metropolitan Planning Organization, is, and then what an MTP, Metropolitan Transportation Plan, is. And then I'll go into a little bit about the schedule of the plan update. So first of all, what is a Metropolitan Planning Organization? And some of you are probably familiar with us already. Some of you might be a little new to you. We are required by federal legislation to exist. We are the entity that helps distribute federal transportation dollars. So that would be FHWA dollars and FTA dollars. So we're a policy making and planning body made up of state, local, and federal representatives on our boards. And we ensure that the federal spending is being occurs through what they call a 3C planning process. It's comprehensive, cooperative, and continuing. It's kind of federal legislation speak, but it is essentially what we do. We look at comprehensive planning. We look at doing it as a cooperative process through coordinating with all of our locals and representatives, and it's continuing. It never ends. But we always are updating our plans. We don't just put something on the shelf and walk away. They have an update cycle, so it's an ongoing process. And through federal legislation, all urban populations, areas, metropolitan urbanized areas with a population of 50,000 or higher has to have a metropolitan planning organization. So here's who is the MPO. We have the MPO policymaking board. This is a decision-making body, but we also are supported by a citizen advisory committee and a technical coordinating committee, and then we have some other ad hoc committees that meet on an on-need basis, and then the staff. So I just want to let you know that we've had a lot of representation from the CAP board in the past. We've had Mr. Lakakis, we've had Mr. Dorrance who's currently on the board, Curtis is represented, and Mr. French. So we do have quite a bit of representation from CAT. And you can see on the left-hand side all the different local jurisdictions and agencies that belong to the MPO board and have a voting seat. We extend down to, I just want to also, so we go beyond Chatham County. We have a little bit of pieces of Effingham County that have spread, or the urbanized area has spread a little bit into Effingham County. I wouldn't be surprised with the next census if we may encompass more of Effingham County. And we also go down to Richmond Hill and Bryan County, and that could also change as well with the next census. So the 5 essential functions that an MPO is responsible for, again, is that decision-making body. We have what we call, we have a lot of, no shortage of acronyms. We have a UPWP, which is basically our work program. We do update that every year, and it talks about the different planning activities we are going to work with our locals on every year. The MTP, which I'll be talking about more. The Transportation Improvement Program, you may have heard that. That is where the dollars come from. Once the dollars are actually programmed, they have to be in that Transportation Improvement Program to actually, for you to get them. So you guys have, CAP has quite a few projects, bus purchases and items that are already in our TIP. And we also have a public involvement process, and this is what I'm kicking off today, and we'll talk a little bit more about. So now what is the MTP? So that is a 20-plus year plan. It's updated every 5 years, and it is identifying the programs and priorities in transportation investments over that 20-year time frame. We typically do this in 3 time bands, and the first 10 years obviously has a little bit more foresight, a little bit more knowledge about what kind of revenues and costs we're going to have. You get out a little to the future years, it becomes a little bit more challenging, but that's why we also update it every 5 years. So nothing that's in this 20-year plan is set for the next 20 years. We always go back in that continuing process where we are always updating that. We look at it, the transportation system as a whole, as well as multimodal, and its links to land use and other elements going on that affect transportation in the area. And we are trying to emphasize efficient use of the existing system as well as preservation. Those are some key things that federal legislation has definitely been promoting lately, as you can see with the TAM plan that's come up through transit agencies, and on the FHWA side there is a very strong push for pavement and bridge preservation as well too. So these are some things that are really important. And we also say that the plan is fiscally constrained, so there is essentially what we kind of like the wish list at the back in the plan as well, but we do prioritize the projects that are in the fiscally constrained part of that plan. So the process, it takes about a year to 2 years to work on a plan update. We've already been working on it. We actually kicked off kind of behind the scenes about a year ago, collecting our socioeconomic data. That's all the population housing data and information about our region. Collected that and passed that on to Georgia Department of Transportation, who is working on forecasting our future conditions. They develop a transportation demand model, and by plugging all that information in, and they come out with some results. We're kind of in this phase right now. We're at the MPO working on our vision and goals and finalizing those, and we are expecting to see the first results from the future forecast conditions later this winter. So then we will be analyzing and doing our evaluation. Then we would go into strategies, where we develop strategies that can help respond to these future conditions. And then we have a recommended plan. All along, we're doing public and stakeholder involvement. So we sent out a survey back in June, July, and I just wanted to highlight, as part of our identifying our goals, we thought sending out and getting some feedback from what locals were thinking and feeling about transportation in the region was a way to help build our goals, objectives, and performance measures. So some of the thoughts that we've heard, we got about 600 respondents from our survey. It was open for about a month, and we had about it was just 5 questions, and we had about 200 open-ended responses. This is just a quick summary. I'll just put my little disclaimer. This is not like a scientifically distributed survey. We use social media. We use any way it would get distributed, but we did not collect a lot of personal information on people about their age or different things like that. So we really just kind of got a general sense of, we collected zip codes. That was about as it makes sense of what we did in terms of personal information. So the majority of the comments, we did get a lot of bicycle pedestrian comments. I grouped those together, but some of those comments were more focused on just safety issues, and some of them were very specific to wanting trails, more sidewalks, things like that. We got a lot of comments on transit and paratransit, about 31%, and then connectivity and accessibility issues. And these 4 bullets are also very interrelated. We saw a lot of comments about wanting more interconnectivity just to get to the for example, a sidewalk to get to transit, and a safety issue there. So they're very interconnected with each other. Other issues that we saw, these 4 rows to the top, some other issues included flooding, parking, ride share, definitely some comments on park and ride. We got about 6% of people asked about rail. Some from rail from Effingham. We got some interesting comments, things I wasn't expecting. Something about wanting solar roadways too. So we got things that were kind of all over the map. And not as many as I expected actually on widening, road construction, or congestion issues. They were definitely there, but these were the ones that rose to the top. These are some of the types of comments we got. that correlate back to this, as you can see, comments regarding improving public transit. This is just sort of a summary: customer service, riding incentives, increase in senior and special needs services. Again, the flooding comment: completing projects quicker to reduce congestion. Bike connectivity, safety issues, park and ride options. We got our light rail again up here, and this one's all new development permits should consider higher ocean, I think it's higher ocean level, sea levels. Again, kind of a flooding issue. So these are just the 5 questions. I'll go through these really quick. I know some people have already seen part of this presentation, so I didn't stick on it too much. But we asked folks of these 5 items to rank them in terms of if we were to allocate limited funding, how would you want to rank these topics? So we got maintaining the current roadway system was the number 1. Creating new bike lanes and sidewalks, improving intersections, and then enhancing the bus system, number 4, and then widening roads was the last one. We asked folks about transportation problems facing the region. The top 5 that rose were the lack of sufficient transportation options was number 1, traffic congestion 2, unsafe conditions, roadway maintenance, and then lack of funding was number 5. Again, sort of a similar trend. You see, again, some areas where they'd like to see more public transit, more enhancements for senior citizens in terms of public transit, and making it easier to walk and bike. Again, sort of a safety connectivity issue, and expanding bus service. This was a question where it's a little hard to represent in one slide, but we asked folks kind of like least important to most important. So they all kind of have a very similar result, because I think we didn't limit that. You could say everything was equally important too, so that's why you might see these, or one of them isn't blowing any other one out of the water here, but we said improving safety in terms of the 5 elements identified that should be in the plan update. So improving safety was number 1. The number 2 and 3 that rose to the top were both related to the environment, air pollution, and stormwater pollution. And then we had improving accessibility and promoting alternative transportation options. This question was related to coordinating improvements through adjacent counties or states. And about half of folks said that they felt improving roadway travel between vehicles for I-95, US 17 was a priority. This question was, when considering additional transit options, I worked with Grant on this to get the wording right. And this was the response. About half the folks said expanding the current transit system should be a priority. You can see that the next 3, improving passenger amenities, expanding transit technology, and bus rapid transit, all kind of tied for number 2. So based on our survey collection, our past plans, we've put together 6 goals that we feel that the plan should be addressing. These haven't been adopted yet. Those will be going to the board in our October meeting cycle. And before that meeting cycle, we're reaching out to a lot of folks as well. Again, we did the survey, but now we're hosting 3 open houses, and we're also reaching out to folks like you and some city council meetings to also continue to spread the word. So we have 6 proposed goals related to intergovernmental coordination, state of good repair, accessibility, mobility, connectivity, environment and quality of life, system performance, and safety and security. Our schedule, again, we're right at the beginning here, kicking off with our public meetings. We'll be moving into this analyze existing future conditions phase within the next month. Ignore my spelling error there. I can't believe no one caught that until this morning. But we'll be moving into the financial analysis. We already started working on that, but we'll have a financial analysis adopted by December. And then that'll help us understand better about how much money is available over this 20-year time frame and how our time bands will look in terms of programming the projects into the time frames. And then I will be doing, again, another really large public outreach. This is June, July next year when we will be going around. We will actually have a project list at that point, and we'll be out looking for a lot of public comments then. And then the plan will be adopted in August of next year. So these are the 3 open houses. I passed around a brochure. Those are also listed on there. We have one this Thursday at the First Presbyterian Church in Savannah. October 2nd, one at the Southwest Chatham Library, and October 4th, St. Luke Missionary Baptist Church. All the meetings are about open house style, 4:30 to 6:30. I will probably do a short presentation at 5:30, and all are welcome to come, spread the word. If any of your constituents are interested in this, this is a great opportunity for them to spread the word. Also on the brochure, if folks aren't able to attend, there's a QR code and a web link where you could just supply your comments in a written format that would come to us as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chester first, I'm second.
We just raise our hands today?
Until she gets the
Yeah,
thing done.
you can't get it.
I just want to make sure we're clear.
You can't get it off the thing. The doodad is not working.
You got it, Chester.
Already?
My question is real simple, so I'll ask it while she's trying to bring up the shot clock, we call it.
The rain started.
One of the comments that you got was directed towards lack of transportation in West Chatham County, but all your open houses are downtown.
There you go.
There's no logic to going out to West Chatham County someplace?
I definitely take any recommendations going out, and we will be doing, again, this is just our first set of public meetings. We have another set that we'll be doing later, so. Do you have any
Just my comment as a
Yeah.
West Chatham citizen, I'm not going to come downtown
Yeah.
to have somebody talk to me
Yeah.
about transportation in West Chatham County.
I am going up to Garden City, down to Richmond Hill. Those aren't open house style. I'm taking advantage of other meetings that are going on. I just have those listed there.
You have the library.
I have the library.
Okay, and the official waiting is Chester.
Let me ask you, on your governance board, you've got, and then also in the surveys that you have, folks have made indications that they need better, improved public transportation in West Chatham.
Mm-hmm.
But do they know that the people who are making decisions sitting on here are the ones who opt out?
These were anonymous surveys. These are just the comments we got. Yeah.
But my question still is, we have a strategic plan here at CAT
Mm-hmm.
that includes those folks.
Mm-hmm.
But their governance, their municipalities have opted out. And so they're saying we need better transportation, we need more transportation, but the folks who making the decisions which the government says they gotta have
Mm-hmm.
are opting out of being a part of the transportation for the county. And I still think that's illegal, but that's a question for Thailand to deal with. So how are you all in your town hall meetings, are you going to let folks know that you all ask a need for Port Wentworth, Westside, Bloomingdale, blah, blah, blase, wherever in Chatham County, but your elected officials are opting out? Are we gonna do that?
Yeah, that's something we can share. We've also invited staff from CAT to attend all of our open houses. I believe they're attending St. Luke's, and are you?
We'll be at all 3.
Okay, okay. So we also have representation from CAT as well to speak to that.
Yeah, it just bothers me that these people are sitting here making the decisions about where the money go, but then they go back and they opt out of having the bus come in their neighborhoods. The other part of what I want to ask too is, as I look at who is on the governing board, I don't see any of the legislators. I don't see anybody from legislator, and they're the ones who, when legislation comes, have been dumping it in the trash can. You know, ain't I right, Mike? Our legislators didn't back us in nothing this year, right?
Well, in fact, they did back us on 930, but it's just some of that support can be soft.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, if the government is requiring us to have this, why aren't there somebody from the legislative caucus a part of this? All right. The other question I have, and then you can answer now, because is that Garden City is coming up, or they're doing their own study about how they want to improve transportation in their area. All right. So when are you going to talk to the citizens in Garden City?
I'm actually going to their city council meeting in 2 weeks. I think it's October 1st, and I'll be speaking with them to find out more ways I can reach out to their folks. They're involved in our coordinating committee and our policy board. The city staff is. So I'll ask about that plan that they're doing. I haven't heard about that. So that's something we also want to incorporate other things that are already happening locally. Of course, like we're tracking what you're doing with your route update and any changes to TDP that'll be coming. Those are things that we'll be incorporating into this plan as well.
The people you already surveyed, how did you select who you was going to survey?
Like I said, this wasn't like a scientific survey. We spread the word through our neighborhood list. We sent it out to all our committees. It was in the Savannah Morning News, online, and in the paper. A lot of social media. The Coastal Georgia Indicators helped a lot. They got it out to a lot of different groups too that they work with. And we had a decent spread with our zip codes, like in terms of different parts. We did definitely get some representation from Effingham and Bryan County folks, and it was nice to see a decent spread. I mean, there's definitely a predominance of people that worked or lived in the downtown central Savannah area, but we did get representation from throughout the region. Even a few folks from outside of the region that work in the region too responded.
Whoever's next can have my 27 seconds.
Okay, Clinton, you can't have his 27 seconds.
So I'm looking at the goals. They seem more, and maybe this is just because of where the process is right now, but they seem more of like a decision about the philosophy of how you guys are planning on moving forward, as opposed to like concrete goals. Am I correct in understanding it that way?
If you're looking for like the full verbiage that goes with each one, I can share that with you.
Yeah,
I didn't.
It's because they're very they're all great, absolutely, but they seem more sort of like in the name.
Yeah, there's actually full statements that go with each of those, and then a list of objectives there's pretty lengthy objectives that go under each one of those.
I would be fascinated to learn.
Yeah, and that'll definitely be going out. I'm circulating it with the Transportation Technical Coordinating Committee right now for their comments. We met at the end of August to get refine those, and especially like the performance measures and the technical ones. And I'll be sending that back out, and it'll be going through the meeting cycle in October. But I can get you your own copy if you want.
Cool. Thank you.
Stephanie, I've been on the APO mailing list forever, I think, and it always has a lot of updates about the different plans and things. I think it'd be great if everybody else, the chat board was on that mailing list.
Sure, I'll talk to
Okay, I think Jay is up. I think Pete's trying to raise his hand.
To echo his sentiment, I think everybody in the commission and the city need to be on that as well. I don't disagree with it personally. It was mentioned that some people already seen this, whatever the case may be as far as that's concerned. When was the survey given? What was the time period when the survey was given?
yeah, sorry about that. It was first released June 21st. It went through, it's technically still open. I collected the data through July 31st. It kind of started slowing down after that. We had one version in Spanish. We didn't really get a lot of feedback on that one. And then the other main version that went out.
And where was it put at?
It was spread primarily through social media, email, web pages, neighborhood groups got it, Georgia Coastal Indicator sent it out to a lot of their groups that they work with. We sent it to all of the MPC boards and committees, and we have a lot of them.
Can you send that link to, I guess, if whoever wants it here at the table? I want it personally.
Yeah, sure, and it should be in the brochure as well.
Okay.
So I can send that out again.
And can you send this in digital form?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, it ran out actually. So.
Jay? Okay, Pete?
Okay, Stephanie, when's the last time the MPC went out to the other cities? You had a comment up there about senior citizens, need transportation and all of that. But it's really important because we still got lots of people in the other cities that need transportation. And I think if it was explained more to them and all of that, because we've got a situation right now where people get up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and walk to work to some of those big warehouses on the west side of town. I've said that before, but I mean, really and truly, the MPC, I'd like to know when's the last time they've done something to encourage that?
I'm not sure in terms of like specific outreach to groups. When we do our plan updates, we always have outreach to the different folks, and of course the people, example in West Chatham, they have a seat on our MPO board. I can't say their attendance is always equal to other jurisdictions. Yeah. So we make an effort, and like I said, I'll research some more locations and venues for West Chatham to reach out to that area again.
Yeah, well, let's just say I know a number of people here, members and all, are really concerned about that, and nothing's happening from like the MPC doing something quickly to really help out and to go out in those other cities and try whatever you can to get them to go ahead and set it up, because some legislator has also talked about it, and you got Chester now that's bringing up some good things about this, and we really in need of this.
Okay, we have Chester and then Bill.
I'm not on.
I'm sorry.
Just to kind of reiterate, I think what you guys are both saying, this is, I guess, kind of related to this, but also just want to say it as well, is that like if we're going to try to push to have countywide coverage, now is the time to do that. And I don't know if we sort of need to like maybe meet on as a separate meeting or in a committee meeting and think about how, not even just CAT, but like what are ways of getting the other cities to be a part of this whole thing. And I know less about that than probably all y'all, but I just think it's important, especially as we do the route redesign.
Because the clock is ticking.
The clock is ticking.
Hey, Bill, we'll finish up with you.
Okay, I just a couple quick comments. One, I think MPO may be the most powerful unknown agency in the county in terms of the impact they have on development here, because they really manage priorities of all transportation spending, and we need people to be more aware of it. I certainly need to understand it better, which is why I asked to be appointed from the city. In keeping with that, Michael, in addition to getting all of the board on the mailing list, could we also start using some of CAT's social media, website, that sort of thing to, number one, get the link to that survey out, just see if we can reach more people that way, as well as just promoting various pieces of information that MPO has at different times. It would just be another outlet for.
I mean, to add to that, we have Enjoy your bus cards. Always throw something up on there.
Okay then, Stephanie, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, then we come to our only action item, which is the purchase of the extra duty police office coverage. This goes back to the presentation that we gave at the last meeting, and then we had some discussions at the committee meetings this month, so we needed first and a second to open it up for any further discussion.
You ready for discussion?
I get a first and a second?
Yeah, so move.
Okay,
Second.
we have a first and a second. So Beverly, we need our shot clock. Okay, Chester.
Is this the police department? Is this the police department police
This
department?
is the off-duty police department program.
This is the request,
For the 500? Or the 300?
500 something.
Well, it's an
500 is the
additional
total,
300.
it's an additional 300 for the additional off-duty policemen.
My concerns are still the same. My concerns are we are not getting accurate reports from the operators as to incidents happening on their buses and routes, and we don't have a system where if there's a need, the operator can get assistance in between stops. I'm also not comfortable with the email that I read yesterday about two parts of it. First part that bothered me is that we weren't openly and cooperating with a criminal investigation. And then the second part was the answer to that was nobody in the executive system and the executive said knew about this until the email. You cannot stop any of the officers and citizens from reaching out to county commissioners. And they bring an issue to us, it's our job to pass it on, but the comments that were on that email are things I'm concerned now. I don't know who thought that I was, after we had the presentation in the committee meeting, that I was all for this, all right? I have not seen the evidence to show where we are going to take part in solving those issues that I brought up, and how we can do that. I even suggested to you today we set up a code system for the operators, so that the operators can say to the dispatcher, I've got a code 225566, whatever you want to name it, and that means immediate assistance from police or whatever. So I don't know how it got out that I'm in favor of this. I'm in favor of putting protection in place for all employees and so forth, but the questions I ask I don't have answers to, so I'm not in favor of giving approval to do any of this, and with that now I'm gonna have to go, because this meeting was supposed to be next week, not this week, and I already had something scheduled for this week. So when you all change meetings and change meetings time, you got to take into consideration what other folks have to do. That was my comments, and whoever can have my 40 seconds.
Michael, maybe do you want to address this issue that Chester was referring to yesterday?
Yes. And the reason I responded that no one in the executive staff knew about the request, because the original email said indicated that the executive staff was somehow not cooperating with the police department, so that's why I included that.
Did I say executive staff or CAT?
CAT executive staff.
I think I said CAT.
Well, anyway, that's why
Pretty
I put
sure.
that in there.
You said CAT executive staff.
Yeah. So anyway, as far as that particular incident, we get probably 4 or 5 requests a month, a few dozen a year, and to my knowledge that's the first time that we've had one that kind of slipped through the cracks, and that's exactly what it did, it appears. We work with SPD quite frequently when they request video to try to solve an or when they work on an investigation. because of this incident, we realized that we could probably come up with a little more of a structured way for PD to request video. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a form, official request form that'll be at the front desk, where when PD comes in and requests a video, they can fill out a form, and that'll be given to our Director of Safety and Environmental, so we can follow up on the video and make sure that something like this doesn't happen again.
Jay?
I don't necessarily echo the sentiments that was spoken here today. I do, however, agree that I still have not been given enough information in reference to me agreeing to increase this $350,000. I said this at our committee meetings, I said this at the executive meeting, I'm going to echo it right here too. I don't think we have enough information. I don't want to go into all the parameters as far involved in the last Excel spreadsheet, but I can say that yes, it was a lengthy spreadsheet, and yes, I do see that our operators go through day-to-day situations and problems, but most of those problems and situations, I tried to get a bus, and I did send an email back saying I needed the different kind of buses because I didn't recognize some of the numbers. I never got that email back. So I can quantify, so I can try to come up with the best scenario to go against what I'm trying to say. I didn't get that. What I saw was a lot of, okay, I'm holding my time so he can answer his phone.
We'll give you some seconds.
I appreciate it. We ready, Pete? All right. I also want to make sure that that list, a lot of it, we have a lot of health-related issues, and when I took the time to go route versus those health-related issues, I rode those routes myself in my own car, and a lot of those routes don't have it where an individual can go to the restroom. Where on some other routes, there are locations like a grocery store, Burger King, or whatever the case may be, where they can go to the restroom. And I don't think we're taking that in consideration when we develop routes. A lot of those routes, along those routes where people were sold, I guess that's the term we use. When it comes out to rain, they don't have coverage like other routes. So I think there are bigger things that we should be discussing and spending $350,000 on versus us spending on a police force that we really are playing darts with, trying to figure out what's the best time to put a police officer on a route. And so, with that being said, I'll yield my last 52 seconds, whatever the clock says now, I ain't turning around.
Yeah, but you had another 10 or 15, so you're giving up a minute.
I'm giving a whole minute up. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Clinton.
I do support this. I think at the last committee, the Service Development Committee meeting, we got a little bit of a report on this, and I think when it comes to sort of the safety of the staff and riders on any of the buses, that is pretty crucial. And I think I would definitely like to see sort of like more information, and kind of like it would be great to see in the future kind of a graph of incidents, hopefully going down. And I think maybe broken up into like what non-violent, violent, things, stuff like that. I think definitely some more information, but I don't think that we should wait for that. I think especially with the just looking at some of the list of issues that had come up previously that you presented to us, I think that for me, that got my support. I think that's definitely worth this expense. So I support it. And I think right now it's what you're talking about, Jay, with throwing darts at the board. I think we just got to start and figure out kind of like what are the best ways to throw those darts.
Now, I wasn't going to say nothing until my name was mentioned, but I want to clarify that I never at one point in time said we need to wait. I think we need to get better data. I didn't say we need to wait. I think we need to get better data. I just want to clarify that.
Okay, Tabitha.
I'm against it. I don't support it at this time. I don't think we're ready to do it. I'm not even sure what we're doing is not working. So I'm done speaking.
Okay, I don't know how to hit the button here because I sort of control the people that are speaking, so where's my hand?
Just raise your hand, brother, we got you.
I'm sort of in the middle of this. I hear what Jay is saying, and I hear what Chester's saying, and I agree that our collection of the data is not the best. And we do need to really analyze what's happening on the bus. And I hear this and I worry about it. And sort of my feeling about this was it was not enough, because it is an off-duty police presence on the buses. Some days they're there, some days they're not. But I think I sort of, at the end of the day, come down with Clinton's opinion that we need to get something started, because this is a dangerous world, and if we read the newspapers around the country, there's incidents everywhere. They're in schools, they're in churches, they're in bus stops, they're in bus stations. And I feel badly about putting our drivers and our customers at risk. I mean, because some of these buses are out there on lonely roads late at night and they're on their own. So I personally feel, even though I have some concerns, that this is something we need to start, because I personally would not want to have something happen knowing that I didn't try to do something. So that's just my opinion. I agree with everything that's been said that we need to work harder collecting the data and to make sure this works. We need to get more data from the drivers. And I always go back to the bus ride that I took when I saw this happen in person. And I felt not really uncomfortable, because I grew up in this kind of environment, but I felt bad for the people that were on that bus with me. And I felt bad for the driver, because I could see his eyes in the mirror trying to make his decision on what he was going to do. Was he going to ask for help? Was he going to confront the person? Or was he just going to hope the guy got off the next bus? So I think it's something we need to start. That's just my opinion, but I'm, as always, with the way the board votes. Do we have any more discussion?
Just a question. I'm generally supportive of the idea. I think we have to get started on something, but one of the questions, and I have not kept up with the correspondence the last week or so, so I apologize if I'm behind on something here. But the one question I remember coming up when we had the presentation on this was about cross-jurisdictional authorities. And have we resolved whatever issues we would have crossing police jurisdictions?
No.
Is that, I mean, and there's cooperative agreements between all the police forces, so I don't know that there is an issue, but I just, I wonder.
I can't answer that question. I will only say that I went to a Southbridge community meeting that is chaired by a detective who now works for the Savannah side of the police force. He used to be in Chatham, obviously Chatham Metro, assigned to Chatham County, but he stayed with Savannah, but he still comes to the Southbridge meetings. And he told Southbridge that all the sheriff's deputies, Chatham County and Savannah, are cross-certified. That's all I can add to that conversation. Ty,
when we met with the city, all of their representatives unanimously said they had no problem with the representation issues at all. They had not experienced any and didn't anticipate any.
Can I address that?
Yes.
About a month ago, the city of Savannah, Mayor and Alderman, passed authorization to enter into new mutual aid agreements with all of the jurisdictions within Chatham County as part of the demerger. And at that time, I had a conversation with the city manager, and he said that the CAT cross-jurisdictional issue would be addressed in those agreements.
We have some of them, we just don't have all of them.
Right.
So moving forward, I just want to clarify that no matter where the bus is with the city officer on there, even if the bus is in the county, that actions can still be taken by that officer. Sort of. And I think, again, I'm very okay with getting this thing started right now, but like seeing that happen in the future and just making sure that we've got that on some sort of paper or an agreement, I think is very important.
Right now, that would only be Garden City and the unincorporated county anyway.
Can we, like, how quickly do you expect that we can get, like, a report back on this?
After we vote. It's gonna make
Well, we
sense
could
when
continue
vote.
this.
If
If
we
we wanted
we
to,
can
we could
take it
continue
before
it.
that.
I would rather not continue it. I mean,
If you wanted the data first.
Okay, we're prepared to take a vote, but if somebody wants to call the question, we continue this for another month, we can vote on that also.
Am I gonna be able to speak? He was allowed to speak. I tried to allow everybody a chance to speak before I spoke. My second time.
Sure.
Alright. I'm not gonna be long. I have no issue with us having a police force. The issue is quantifying how we have a police force. So I want to make sure that's clear in culture. I believe we need to spend way more money than what we're spending on the police force. If we're gonna do it, let's do it right. But just doing it is not an option. We should be doing it and doing it right. And I don't think this is just to pass stuff just because we want to pass stuff. And we just spending money just to spend money doesn't make it right. And so I just want to make sure I clarify that as my last point. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay, Tabitha, why don't you wrap this up?
Oh, yeah. I'm not against security. I just don't know that what we're doing is not being done correctly or is not enough or cannot just be rearranged to be adequate for what we need. You're never gonna, you have to be lucky to have an officer on the right bus at the right time to catch a crime. So, you know, it's very difficult to know which bus on a random schedule to put a person on, you know, and, you know, police, the whole job of police is not even to show up until after a crime has been committed. So predictively determining which bus is going to have a crime is going to be difficult unless you pick buses that currently have a high statistical rate of crime and just put a person on that bus all the time. I don't even know that we figured out how we're supposed to implement this. You know, so I'm not against security. I guess I'm against the way we're talking about implementing it. No, I'm not guessing. That is what I'm against. Okay.
Okay, this is a hot topic, so we have two final speakers.
Sorry.
He's gonna keep talking. I'm gonna keep
How
talking. I'm
many
gonna take it up.
officers will $350,000 provide?
Okay, so we would have an officer at the transit center. We'd have an officer at Cat Central. We'd have an officer on the bus, and we'd have an officer with the chase car. That was what was in the presentation. So it's 4 officers a day, in addition to security, which we already have contracted.
I'm asking about the number for the $350,000.
It's 4 people.
4 people per day.
Just 4.
Right.
Every day.
How much does each one of them cost?
It's around $30 per hour.
I can do a calculation for you.
$30 per hour?
There's different charges per type of officer. And then you have to pay additional for the car per hour.
So it's a little more than $74,000 a year for the officer, the administrative work they do, and the equipment they're going to be using. When you take the $299 and divide it by 4 officers, we're paying about $74 for the officer's time and the equipment and the oversight and the admin.
Thank you, too.
What equipment are you talking about?
They're police cars, and it's like a fully loaded cost. It's not just their labor. So for the 4 police officers, the way that Erica has designed the program, the total cost is $299, and there's 4 officers. So just a straight calculation puts it right at 74.
And they dedicate a coordinator to the program for us specifically to be a liaison between the people that work the shifts and us, so they can provide reports and data and questions or issues that we have, they can address it. Currently it's Sergeant Purvis.
What does our security team do currently?
So security can't specifically address a lot of, mostly transit-related issues, like if somebody's smoking on a platform, hey, that's not the smoking area, things like that. But most of the time, if anything elevates further than that, they have to call the police. They can't touch or enforce, they can inform also, but.
What is a police car? They're supposed to be on the buses, correct?
One officer patrols the buses, and then we have a police chase car. It's a marked police car that will change positions a few times a day. So then maybe they'll come to Cat Central is the idea early in the morning when people are coming to work. And then, they'd come maybe here a couple hours a day, and then they'd go to another location that's, high issues like Memorial Hospital. That's the way the program's designed to work. So the patrol car will move positions throughout the day to be a presence where we have the most issues.
And what, again, about Memorial Hospital?
Well, it's a place where we have high volume ridership and, a lot of issues occur. Savannah Mall, Oglethorpe Mall. Those are a lot of the problem areas as well. The detention center for the 25 Westlake, we have a lot of issues there, a lot. And I think you saw some of those are reflected in the comments and the surveys from operators. They have a lot of problems in that area as well.
And through the summary we sent out, we were able to identify the routes that have the highest number of incidents. So although obviously we can't predict crime, but the whole purpose of this to have more of a police presence to deter criminal activity.
Right, and it's not going to be a random schedule. It'll be a schedule set by us. That and we obviously will assign them to areas that have the most issues, so that obviously the money's being well spent. They won't just ride a bus all day that's not having a lot of issues. We'll place them in areas where we know that there's issues.
At Memorial, you're talking about police on the outside of Memorial, not on the inside.
Oh,
Or on the inside.
No, they won't be on the, no sir, they won't be on the inside, they'll be for us. So they'll patrol our bus stop area.
Yes.
Okay, let's, Cody has not made any comments, so why don't you go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna vote, this is absolutely the last.
Got you covered, appreciate it. So on this route, we're talking about one officer on one route at a time?
Yes, one officer per day that rides the buses. He may not be on that one route all day, he'll hop routes. We'll set a schedule for him to change buses.
So he's gonna kinda be just hoping something happens while he's on that route?
Well, it's a deterrent. I mean, we obviously, of course, can't predict it. We'll place him on the areas that have the most frequency of issues. Like I said, I think I gave you guys an example of once an officer who was riding for personal reasons got on the bus, the 25 Westlake, and the operator told us that at the next stop, everybody on his bus got off the bus. I mean, it was, it was humor, but it was true. No, I mean, I highly doubt that a crime is going to be committed while he's on the bus, and that's also a good thing. It's a deterrent.
Deter the fares.
Right, and I'm sure that some issues will still arise while they're on the bus, but that's also a good thing. So no, we can't predict it, but we can certainly put some mitigating factors out there and some preventative measures that will decrease what's going on.
Okay, so we're starting to go in circles, so I think we're going to vote with this when Tabitha gets back. Not sure where she went, but
You have a move, you don't have a second.
I move to, what am I moving? I move to purchase,
we gotta go.
extra duty police coverage from the city of Savannah.
Yeah, move before you move.
Okay, we need a first and a second.
Second.
Clinton's got a first. No, we're cutting the discussion.
Okay.
Michael second.
Oh,
Michael second.
Mike a second.
You gonna-
I don't know. Well, that's okay.
If she's not here for the vote, that's on the chair in front of me.
Yeah, but I want to give everybody a chance to vote on this. I don't want to,
No, they deem me when I vote, but not council constituents.
Sitting in for the vacation,
Did you?
Yeah, that's in the middle of nowhere.
let's go.
Sorry.
I thought I voted.
Okay, we're back.
Until you're told you can.
No, Pete, let's vote.
Let me just ask this question, quick.
Please.
Okay, it's really important, but I'll talk with you later.
Okay.
All
So
right.
let's vote on this. All those in favor of the purchasing extra duty police coverage, vote yes, no, or abstain.
Does
it still have Chester Law there?
We closed him out.
Okay, the motion carries 5-2 and 2 no votes.
There wasn't no, I don't know.
She's got me as yes, just
I
wrong.
got you down as a yes.
Official ballot.
Okay, next items. So moving on to the executive director's report, and I would like to make a comment before we get to that, Michael. I talked to Curtis last night to see how Curtis is feeling. And I guess my summary of the conversation was he sounds very tired. He is going to the doctor on Wednesday. His plan, if the doctor releases him, is to come back to work. And he has canceled after. He doesn't feel like going on a trip would be best for his health. That's kind of where we are with Curtis at the moment. So Michael, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Executive Director's report is in your board packet and on your tablets. I'll entertain any questions you may have.
Okay, with no questions, let's move on to the service delivery update. Michael, you still keep the
I do.
podium.
All right. Again, the service delivery report is in your board packets on your tablets. I'd like to update you on the paratransit operation. All our classes have graduated, as I stated in an email on Friday. We sent all the rental vehicles back. As the public meeting we had this past week, we had a lot more positive feedback than the prior meeting, which we were going through some of our struggles. It was quite negative, so it was a lot more positive. Obviously, well, there's always little things that we can work out and polish up to perfect the service, and we're working to do that. But we've made very good strides, I believe, and it's evident by the comments. We've also we're starting a fixed route class actually on October 1st to prepare for the board change, which is in November. As far as what we've done for hiring this past month, we hired quite a few operators, cleaners, parts clerk, and transit advocates. And I'll answer any questions you may have, other questions you may have about service delivery.
Questions?
So I went to the paratransit meeting and I was pleasantly surprised, honestly. I was not expecting it to be as positive as it was. It was really, I think definitely like the paratransit riders have been noticing that things are kind of coming together. Definitely some concerns. A couple things that I thought were interesting is there was a request to have drivers wear name tags, which I thought was a very like possibly humanizing effort. It would be kind of nice. I don't know one way or the other, but I thought that was an interesting statement that somebody made. And then the other one was, who did I ask? I can't remember who I asked. I think I asked you about how many paratransit registered riders there were, and your answer was
3,100.
And when she said that number, everybody at the table, all the other riders, were, I think, frankly, a bit shocked that there were that many. I think there was not. I mean, definitely from my part, but I also think other paratransit riders of the scope of the system as a whole. And so then I was thinking we kind of had a bit of a conversation about, I think educating our riders, especially our paratransit riders, on the paratransit system itself, not just the services that they're being provided, but sort of like how this thing works, all the other people in it, sort of shared rides. I think really would help with I guess letting people understand the complexity of that system. I think they were all fairly surprised at how many people are actually using it daily. I know I am. But I would also encourage all of our board members to attend the next meeting, and I think it's in November. Yeah. It was good, second Wednesday.
I'll raise my hand since I can't hit any buttons. And I think I was sensitive to this because Jay raised the question of fare boxes at the meeting on Tuesday. Our fare box recovery ratios really dropped like a rock.
It's the denominator is operating cost, and with that comes increase in operating cost, then the fare box ratio will go down.
Do the free shuttles affect the fare box recovery?
We pull those hours out. There's 3 different fare box recovery ratios. Some of them are all inclusive, but the one we're presenting pulls everything of the fixed route cost out over fares. So that's why we went to the 3 in my financial update to show you what the comprehensive fare box recovery is, and then we pull out the cost and the revenue from the agency, and that's the number you see. So yes, when costs go up and revenues stay flat, the fare box recovery ratio will go down.
Bill?
Along that line, if you are seeing operating costs go up, do we accommodate for that with our billing to the city on the shuttles? The city.
That's a flat cost coverage rate that was negotiated on the most recent ending year when the contract was developed, but it's set to cover cost. So there's no intermittent, like month-to-month adjustment on that flat rate.
Yeah, and I understood that. I guess what I'm asking is, are we getting into a situation where because of that agreed upon price, we're starting to lose money on the operation?
No, sir. We're still covering cost on the agency cost for SSU and for the city, for the agency service.
If that becomes an issue, I'd like to know.
Any other questions for Michael on yes?
Goes back to the executive director report. I just know something. You got a lot of separations, terminations, or what's going on within the operators or operations?
Give me a minute to review this. Typically, on the operator side, it'll either be a resignation. If it's paratransit, we did have a paratransit operator that didn't pass probation. Let's see.
I had 5 in 1 month. That's what, and then you also had 2 terminations on top of that.
What page you on?
7.
Okay. Thank you.
I would want more information on it because this is a higher number than normal.
When I can speak to
operational piece.
The operator?
We've lost 3 paratransit drivers in the training session. Whether they had a family issue, they couldn't complete the training, or problem, or they didn't show up. We did terminate a paratransit operator. They were involved in an accident. And during probation, when you're in a vehicle accident, a substantial accident, you're terminated. So they were terminated for an accident. And then I had a gentleman that went on to the court from fixed route, so he resigned.
And we had an operator to terminate, to resign after being rehired a second time. So she went back for the second.
She got an offer from the city.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah.
Bill.
Pushing our folks.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, I mean, the municipality's been doing that to our cops for years, so you learn.
Learn the best, huh?
Okay, any other questions for Mike on system delivery or system update before we go to system development? System development.
Okay, good morning. Alderman Durrance, I want to respond to your question about during the MPO presentation, asking if the link could be on our social media channels. Sarah in our office did do that, so she did help promote that, so I wanted to share that with you. Our system development team prepared another great report for you all. I want to highlight a few things within the report. First, I want to mention that we did last month develop and submit a discretionary bus and bus facilities grant application to FTA. We've asked for more electric buses and charging stations, plus a new AVL. So we haven't received word on if we were successful with that grant application yet. But we did get some great news regarding our LONO grant application. As you all probably read in our media reports, FTA approved us for an award of $1.5 million, which will allow us to purchase another electric vehicle. So we're very pleased about that. Also, much of the activities, as you all are aware, last month focused around Jarrett Walker and Associates. They visited us, they presented to you all. We also scheduled a meeting for employees later that afternoon, our kickoff meeting. And for employees who could not make it to that meeting, such as our bus operators who were driving our vehicles at 2:15, we recorded the session that Michelle did with our employees over at Cat Central, and we placed it on our YouTube channel so that employees who weren't able to make that meeting, they can review it online on our YouTube channel. Plus, the staff also have placed the video in the operations break room over at Cat Central so that it's on a continuous loop. So employees who are in there, they can also see that video. So that's going well with Jarrett Walker. Also in our report, our outreach manager has been making it around to several of the neighborhood associations. So there's a report in your packet on listing some of those meetings. And also she attended a terrific orientation meeting with the Savannah Chatham Public School System. It was a group of international teachers. And so Valerie took lots of information, shared some information. The bad news about that meeting is Valerie said many of them lived on the west side where we didn't have a lot of bus services over there. So, but we are trying to get out in the community to do more in community engagement, more public engagement. Our communications and marketing staff, they have heard from about 3 nonprofits last month who are interested in placing ads, interior ads inside of our buses. So thank you, Clinton, for that. We were talking about that right before the meeting. So they're continuing to call us to utilize that space. And we're planning to utilize the space as well for some of our promotional materials. In addition, that marketing staff, they have also been communicating with SCAD about various activities on campus. And as a matter of fact, this past Saturday, Shalonda and Sarah were at one of the SCAD student events, again trying to promote the service to the university target group. That's basically it. We did include additional information on social media, web reports. In that report, you all asked for more detailed information in that last month's meeting, so we did include that additional information for you. And that's all I have.
Okay.
Can we, I meant to speak on the last month. I know Clint has a newspaper he deals with as well, but we need to expand past Savannah Morning News into other media outlets. Herald Tribune have nice audience as well.
We, on our media list, they're
Yes,
included.
okay.
But any other suggestions that you have, feel free to share them with us, because, you know, we want to continue to expand, you know, media coverage. But we do have the Herald on that media list, as well as the Business Journal, and then it seems like there's a Tribune.
The Connect.
Yeah. Savannah Connect. Yes. Okay.
Any other questions? I'll make a comment. The CAT app really went up this month. What do we attribute that one to?
We're continuing to monitor it, and we are still hopeful that we will be successful with that grant application so that we can move forward with the new AVL system, because it's, you know, sometimes it's working well, and then sometimes we get comments from customers saying it's not working so well.
Make sure y'all let Bill Roper know that, the CAT app.
About the app.
I'm just saying, that's his thing. Y'all all know that's his thing.
Go ahead, raise your hand.
Yeah, just a quick note on the CAT app. I think I'd emailed you, Michael, about I was trying to find where bus 14 was, and it didn't show up. But it did show up on the outbound route, which was kind of funny. But it is very, very helpful when it works. It changes the whole concept of stuff. And I'm just excited to see Kessler and the Alita kind of getting involved and trying to get some rides. I think that's great. So, cool. Great job.
Yes, ma'am.
Are we in La Voice, the Spanish newspaper?
La Voz Latina.
Are we, Shalonda?
We submit articles to them all, and it's really up to those publications of whether they're print. So what you see in the board packet is articles that have actually been printed, but we do submit to Tribune, Herald, Connect, and The Voice.
Do we check to see if they're actually being printed or posted?
What we currently have 2 media monitoring services that we're kind of using right now. The staff has been using Meltwater for the longest, and a lot of businesses and agencies use Meltwater. I have experience with another one out of the DC, Virginia area called News Online. And so we've asked them to give us a trial period so we can compare the 2, so that we can compare cost. And so what we're seeing is basically both of them are capturing the same information, but we basically are using the services of clipping services to track social media and traditional media for us. Plus, of course, we, you know, check out certain websites ourselves.
How often does La Voice pick us up?
They haven't been picking us up very regularly, so we do submit.
Can we call them and see what they need?
Absolutely.
Do that.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay, and then let's move on to Terry and the finances.
Good morning. The financial update and the financial reports for August and year-to-date through August are in your packet. Of note, the additional paratransit cost for operators, vehicle rentals, is showing on the bottom line. The good news is that cost containment in other areas has mitigated that loss to $160 month to date and $62 year to date. So with the internal transition almost 100% complete, Mike's mobility team will be able to focus on the improvements that will help us make that money up over the next 10 months. And I'll be happy to answer any questions the board may have about the financial results.
If there's no questions, I'll make one comment. It's just going to make your hair cringe.
Okay.
Budget books.
We can get those to you by the end of October, Mr. French.
Would
The
you
audit
mind?
will be wrapped up by then, and I can propose a budget adjustment, and then we can incorporate that into a budget book.
Okay, what I'm talking about, we did this, I think 2 years ago. I think it slipped last year. But Terry made us a really nice book of the budget with all the budget lines. But it also had in it the budget assumptions that she made to justify the numbers. And it was a good reference as you're reading the finances. You can flip back and see, you know, in a little more detail of what was in the budget, because we tend to forget this, where Terry lives it every day, so she doesn't have to worry about it. It's very helpful for us. And I think it'd be nice if you could put it together again for us, because it was really a good book.
We can. We picked up about 90 to 94,000 in tax digest growth, and remember we had a little bit of a pickup on the insurance side. So we've got about 130,000 to redistribute, and once we get that on a chart, then that would finalize the budget, and I can incorporate that into a permanent goal.
Okay. Then the next question is old business. Do we have any old business? Okay, moving on then to new business. Do we have any new business?
I have a question. Who all's going to have to? Just out of curiosity.
You, me, Michael.
I'm going.
I'm not going?
You signed up for the second AFTA mission.
Okay.
And the legislative mission. Now, I will say, though, that with Curtis's cancellation, we have an open slot, which we could use for a board member. If anybody is anxious to go. We have an extra slot.
I don't want to double dip. I think one of you guys should go, if y'all go.
Next week.
Sunday to Wednesday.
Is this Sunday coming?
Yeah.
I can't go. I'm not going. But if nobody's going, someone needs to go. You know.
Sunday to Wednesday?
Sunday to Wednesday.
In
I gotta look at my schedule. I don't know.
City of Music.
Clinton, I think this would be good for you, because as I said before, there's a lot of.
You have to go to the conference.
Yeah, you need to go.
No, this, if you look at this session, there's a lot of mobility options in there, and it looks like it's geared to sort of the millennial rider. So I think this would be perfect for you too.
And when you come back, I'll call you Curtis.
Why am I going?
Because you're a millennial at heart.
Because we have to understand what the millennials are thinking.
Emoji.
So we can talk to them.
Are millennials thinking?
Yes.
They are.
Ooh, that's a little. That's going to minute speaker.
That's Curtis.
I'll pay for that one, I'm sure.
So it's Sunday to Wednesday. I'll email. Who should I email about that? All right.
Yeah, I think it officially starts Sunday night, but there's always some NTI classes on Saturday too that are free. Like there's a session on triennial review that I'm planning to attend. I think it's like 2 to 4.
Like the 23rd to the 26th.
23rd.
Yeah.
Yes.
Georgia plays on Saturday.
Okay, the last item under new business.
I have one question.
Do we absolutely have to nail down is we need orientation dates between you two and Todd.
Michael has his hand up.
I have just a quick question that I noticed. Did we do ridership? I don't remember seeing it.
No, we didn't do ridership.
That was under Michael's.
Okay.
I guess Michael morphed it in there.
I was kind of, I noticed there's a huge drop on the 3B from weekday to weekend. Is there a reason for that? It drops from like 26 to 10.
Yes.
And that's the only route that seems as
we can
drastic
take a look
drop.
at that. 3B on the weekend is interlined with the 3, and so the bus is essentially the same.
Okay.
And it goes from the 3B and then does a trip on the 3, so sometimes the data gets kind of funky and isn't attributed to the right route. So we can
Okay,
take
yeah, that one I just noticed was a huge difference. All the rest seem to be in line on every other one.
Yeah.
And thank goodness for system redesign.
Yeah.
Considering
I can't wait.
the rate of decline.
Another year and a half.
Yeah. But it's moving so fast.
You get to go to the new member one?
Okay, before we adjourn, Beverly wants to make sure everybody has got the correct dates for the upcoming meeting. She sent out an email, but she wants to confirm this as we're sitting here.
So November the 6th, for the month of November, because of absence.
So the next committee meeting.
Yes, well, no, we're gonna have
Everything
one.
was moved.
Yeah, the next committee meeting, but we're gonna go over all the dates in November. We moved it up.
Everything was moved up.
Yes, sir.
November 6th.
So committee meetings are gonna put November 6th.
November 6th for the committee meeting. That's the first Tuesday.
I got an email
The
about
executive-
It's election day. New members.
The executive committee will
We
be
met
November
on election day
13th.
before.
You probably have to
That's
go
the
look at
second
it.
After
Tuesday,
C-Balance.
and the regular
We'll
board
have
meeting
to-
will be November 20th, the third
So you're
Tuesday.
gonna be there Sunday night?
Committee on the 6th.
November
Board meeting.
30th?
The 20th.
Oh, that was in the memo you sent.
Yes, sir. So it's just a reminder that email.
Okay, then, with no other business,
I have
let's,
Well, it was about the GTA meeting in Jekyll Island. Did we attend that?
Michael? We
It's like the
attend the
first
GTA
week
meeting.
in the Georgia Transportation Association.
We usually send a group to the Georgia Transit Association state meeting annually. Yes.
I know it was here last time. They
Right,
invited us
we
for
all
it.
got to attend last
Yeah, the
time
board members
because it
got
was
to go. I don't
downtown,
know
but.
how many people we send to that, or
In
if that's on
prior
our schedule.
years, we usually send between 4 and 6 middle management staff
Okay.
to the state GTA.
So we have it, it's on our calendar. Okay. I just happened to notice it in the back of the little book from the last one, that here's the next one.
It's close. When it's close, it's cheaper.
Yeah, well, Jekyll Island's
I
not
like that.
horrible, yeah.
Okay, Michael, are you done?
Now I'm done.
Okay, now we can adjourn. So thanks,
Sure.
everybody. And I believe Beverly lunch is here.
Thank you.
11:30.
Wow.
That's great.
Booked into 12.
Try to do this from now on.
You're home today?